Grandeur instead of Inside Movies Galore? Or no?
Unfortunately, not at this moment. But it's all one and the
Okay.
same. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting film journey of Delusions of Grandeur. I am your host for today, but we are continuing the Christmas holiday, where here on Delusions we are going to be talking about Krampus, a film that was filmed in 2015 by Michael Dougherty. And it stars a number of people: Adam Scott, Tony Collette, who is a horror alumni, David Kozner, Alice Tallman, MJ Anthony, Stephanie LeVay, Krista Stadler, Kachada Farrell, among others. But let's see what IMDb says about the film. A boy who has a bad Christmas accidentally summons a festive demon to his family home. So let's go into first impressions. Mo, was this a first time watch for you?
Oh no, I saw Krampus back probably in 2015, shortly after it came out. Pretty much instantly became a holiday classic for my whole family. I've shown it to pretty much everyone in the family, actually. I watched it myself again recently, but we're coming up on like our annual watch of it, where my mom and my dad and the kids and everyone gets together and we watch Krampus. It's just a perfect fucking holiday horror film, man. It reminds me a lot of like it gives me similar vibes as something like Gremlins. I've often been quoted as saying it kind of is the Gremlins for this generation of kids. It's just a shame that it isn't shown more widely to families across the nation. I think it should be in everybody's holiday arsenal for this time of year. I actually saw this before I saw Trick or Treat, which was this guy's original holiday masterpiece, which hopefully I'll be able to cover with you guys on here at some point. But I loved it, man. Like right out of the gate. It just has everything in it that a little 80s horror kid like me absolutely fucking loves. Crazy creatures causing mad hijinks in like some rich white people's house. Cool snow globes, random animated sequences that are unnecessary but add a lot of fucking fun flavor to the movie. Cool effects. I love the design of Krampus himself. He's fucking terrifying. Yeah, it's just I love everything about it, man. And then you got that dude. You've got several people in this from like the Office, sort of Parks and Rec camp of people, which adds some fun like humor to it in a lot of ways, and just makes it sort of adds to the modern nostalgia of it, I guess, because we're used to seeing those guys and other stuff, and then they're in this rad holiday horror romp that's it's just fun from start to finish, man. Especially love the ending. I mean, there's just, we'll get into the weeds of it as we go through, because I pretty much love everything about this movie for the most part. But yeah, I've loved it from the moment that I saw it, and pretty much everyone I've shown it to has loved it because it's just fun.
Alrighty, heading over to you, Carl. Was this a first time watch for you?
I think that motherfucker fell asleep.
Carl?
Hello. Hello. I can't
Jar
believe
Jar
it.
is the best Star Wars character, and we all know it. Yeah, he's definitely asleep.
Oh, fucking hell. Hello, Kroll. Did you
Kroll!
get
I would just mute him so in case he starts snoring, but we can just watch him sleep while we talk about this.
I can't believe it.
Epic.
Alrighty. Heading over to you, Boris. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yes, it was. Although I have heard of this movie before and I did want to watch it, but I just never got to it. And yeah, now that I did watch it, finally, I enjoyed it a lot. As Mo says, it's really good. Although, yeah, I was also reminded of the Gremlins at some points, but I'm not sure I would quite compare this movie to the Gremlins because I think the Gremlins was much funnier, much more to the comedy side, while this is, I would say, something more to the horror side.
I don't know, man.
I
It's got some funny shit in there.
uh,
The lady giving those kids fucking brandy. Good.
Yeah, it does have some funny things, but if I watched the Gremlins when I was a kid and it didn't scare me, but if I had seen this as a kid, it would have scared me
That's fair.
probably.
Yeah,
Um,
I'd agree.
yeah, but of course that doesn't mean the movie isn't good. I just saying I think it's something more of a. I think this movie has more horror than comedy compared to the Gremlins, which has more comedy than horror, or at least that's how I felt about it. But of course, I still enjoyed it. It was a really good horror movie, and I liked the ending. Although at first I had kind of mixed feelings about it, but then I read on Wikipedia that the ending is explained better in a graphic novel prequel, which now when I know what the ending was actually supposed to mean, it's actually really good. And yeah, for everyone who is a little bit bored of classic Christmas comedies and wants some Christmas horror instead, I can definitely recommend this one. By the way, Kroll, good morning.
Yeah,
Good
dude, it was
morning.
crazy. You were talking in your sleep. You said Jar Jar was the best Star Wars character. I was concerned about you.
Don't lie to me.
uh,
I want to say
no,
that in front of
I would agree with you, Boris. It definitely is a stronger horror film than Gremlins. I think what I was getting at with that more is that it's that family friendly horror shit you can watch with all the little kids and like the whole family, and it's not gonna fuck anyone up too bad. It's just generally got like a fun holiday horror vibe to it. Gremlins is definitely more of a comedy than this. It gets real horrific when she's explaining that Santa getting stuck in the chimney, though. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, I would
oh
agree.
yeah. Oh yeah, remind me, was it her father that got
Yeah,
stuck
dude.
there? Oh yeah,
That's why
yeah.
she hates Christmas, is because her dad tried to be Santa and he came down the chimney and got stuck and they didn't even know where he was until he started to smell. It's like such a fucking dark thing in the middle of that movie.
that was Gremlins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good thing Krampus didn't come after her ass for saying
He
that.
fucking just squeezes his ass down that chimney, dude, breaking out the wall and everything. It's fucking great.
Yeah, well, at least they didn't show it on screen.
Oh, I
It's
hate
just
Christmas.
this
Oh,
has
I
got
hate
that
Halloween.
similar like family gathering party vibe that Gremlins has is more what I was getting at. Like every time we get together to watch it, it's just a blast, you know. And it's from the oldest person in the room to the youngest person in the room. They all enjoy it, you know. Which is a great thing. It's hard to find Christmas movies that actually work like that, you know. Half the time, like half the crowd just doesn't care, you know. Uh,
Oh yeah, well, I myself, although there are some of these typical Christmas comedies that I do enjoy generally, I over the years I have gotten a little bit bored of them, I have to admit.
it's real rough to try to watch like that saccharine sweet holiday stuff for me anymore. I kind of need it to be horror or comedy or something like that.
Right?
My
Yeah, we
family, my family
go ahead.
always watches The Sound of Music.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people like that movie, but every time I'm watching it, I'm just like, I could just be doing so many other things, you know?
Uh,
You
sorry,
know,
which
when I was a
movie?
kid, that was the thing.
Yeah, especially
Sound
as
of
a kid, I
music.
was like, holy fuck, what you guys gonna put on 60 Minutes next or something? What are we doing? But I get why people like it. It's a fine film.
Fucking Star Trek.
Krampus
Uh,
burp.
s- it did sound like Krampus burp, yeah. By the way, Tammy, sorry I didn't understand. What movie were you talking about?
The Sound of Music.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
classic.
The hills are alive with the sound
A doe,
of
a deer, a
music.
female deer,
Ray.
Ray, a bucket full of sun. Me, a
I
name,
like
I
it.
call
Okay,
myself.
jokes aside, I mean, as a kid, a little horror kid, of course, I was like, "What the fuck," But I do understand why
The
people
It's
like Sound
actually
of
on
Music.
tonight, which is funny. It's on TV tonight.
Lord of the Rings is one we were just talking about this last night off air, but Lord of the Rings is one I tend to marathon during the holiday months for whatever reason. Like once it hits November, it feels like a good time to watch those Tolkien movies. Not even just Lord of the Rings by itself, even like the animated Hobbit and stuff like that. I don't know if that really fits the spirit of the season, but it works. I mean, they're long movies, I guess, so that's why in the winter or fall months it's like good to watch them because you just want to be inside anyways, right?
I don't know
Oh.
how the Sound of Music became our family thing because it really doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. But
Right.
No, it doesn't.
but it
Yeah.
became our family thing.
Yeah, those little traditions are fun. It's like, do you guys remember back in the day? I think it was USA, but I could probably wrong on the network. But they used to do the Thanksgiving Star Wars marathon where they would play the whole original trilogy on Thanksgiving
Wasn't that
Day.
TNT?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
What,
It was TNT, but yeah, that
what,
was a yearly thing for us.
what about the holiday special?
Oh, it's magnificent. I've got it sitting right here, dude.
Oh,
Roxy just fucking suicide dived off the shelf, but there it is. I got that shit
Nice.
on deck all the time, man, for year-round viewings.
Well, just like New Year's, I forgot which network runs it. They run a Twilight Zone marathon at New Year's. One
It's
of the networks does.
that's
Sci-fi.
so cool. I would love that because I love Twilight Zone, and I feel like during that hangover period, I would really enjoy watching those. So I might have to manually run that this year.
What about you, Kroll? Was this a first time watch for you?
Yep.
And what did you think about it?
It was interesting. I mean, it took a while for it to get interesting. It was just a lot of showing how shitty the holidays are with people running people over in the store, and then how shitty the families are, and the cousins, and they're just like, well, the people you don't really have anything in common with, but because you're related, you have to deal with them, and
I
how
got
shitty that is.
I didn't think this was the first time for you because you wanted me to pick this.
to agree,
I wanted to
Crow.
pick it because I hadn't seen it.
There actually was a moment when I said, "Okay, when is this Krampus going to appear finally?"
Yeah. It was definitely. It definitely took a while before we got there.
I love the beginning because it reminds me of Home Alone, but it very
a
much is
little
like
bit, yeah.
meant to parallel that Home Alone opener where, like Curl said, it's just you're getting that overwhelming dose of how shitty it is to be trapped with your family during the holidays,
Yeah.
And then they had the housekeeper from 2.5 Men, which I don't know, she was like an aunt or something. I don't know. She was a bitch.
Yeah, she's classic.
At the beginning, she was a bitch, but later I started to like her when
When she started
began.
shooting the fucking bad shit, kind of liked her.
Yeah, but later on, when she started to shoot those assholes, that was good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Held her shotgun pretty well.
Indeed.
So was that the rest of your first impression then?
Yeah, I liked it. It was, like I said, it started out kind of slow, but
Okay.
I think that can be good during the holidays too, you know what I mean? Because you tend to be shut up watching a bunch of movies. So it's nice, like that's that period of the movie where you go get your eggnog going and heat up some Christmas leftovers or something and like get ready so that hopefully you could time it right where you're sitting down to actually watch the movie right as the good shit's starting to happen. You know, it's like a built-in intermission, sort of, which can work. What about you, Tammy? You like this joint? This is your first time watching
It wasn't my first time. I remember the first time we watched it, though. I was just kind of, I guess, because I never thought of Christmas that way. I never thought of Santa Claus that way, you know.
Well, it's not Santa Claus, it's Krampus Claus.
Well, yeah, I know. And when we watched this, we actually watched some other ones that I guess are independent Krampus movies.
Oh
We
God!
watched like a whole bunch of them at once, and it was, and I was just like, wow, this is really freaky because this is not what I think of Christmas.
I think
It
Christmas
is
would have been
now.
more exciting if we grew up in old-timey Europe where you thought a Krampus was going to come just whip your ass with sticks and throw you in a bag if you were bad.
And his elves after you.
Because that's the real mythology to Krampus is if you're bad, he'll come and he'll just beat your ass with birch sticks. Like he'll just whip the shit out of you with the birch sticks and then cram you in this burlap sack. And if you're especially bad, he'll eat you afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would not. The worst that I heard about Christmas, if you were naughty, you got coal. Okay.
Yeah, that's our safe, like modernized Christmas where you don't have to
Yeah,
worry about being
this
cannibalized.
This one basically puts out the idea that Krampus comes when the spirit of Christmas is no longer alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting spin on it as well.
I did enjoy it. I mean, yeah, I agree with Bo that Krampus himself is like, wow, okay, super freaky looking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you see him walking around, you know, at first it was just like boom, boom, boom. But I'm like, holy shit, man.
Oh, I love it. I love how he's this big hulking beast, and there's like that part where he's leaping from rooftop to rooftop,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like a fucked up version of what you imagine as a little kid with the reindeer clomping across the roof, but it's a different kind of hooves with Krampus, you know.
And then when they
Yeah.
go to the boyfriend's house and they find the hoof in the fucking fireplace ashes, it's like how can it be a goat
Sleep.
standing on 2 feet? You know.
Sleep.
Yeah, and one thing I found really
But yeah, I really did. I liked it. It was freaky. It was, you know, it kept you wondering what was next once it got going. You know, so
And
Yeah.
it had some of your favorite things in there. It had the Jack in the Box in there.
I don't like Jack in the Boxes.
She doesn't like Jack in the Boxes. She
Neither
doesn't
do
like
I,
clowns.
dude. I'm always a bit insulted by a Jack in the Box. You know, it's like, why would you trick a little kid like that? Why you got to trick me with your toys and your fucking merriments?
I don't like
do
clowns.
that.
I don't like
Could be
clowns.
worse. Dave could be in the box and you got a jerk in the box.
They scare the shit out of me every time, is what I'm
To
saying.
be honest,
Yeah.
I almost
Winding
feel
it up
like
and then it just-
I almost feel like these toys were inspired by Full Moon.
yeah, I can see that.
I-
There's some of that in its DNA for sure.
Hey,
Michael
hey,
Dougherty
it could have been,
was
it could have been, it could have been a Jack in the Box that had fingers in it.
I found it really funny when they were at the boyfriend's house and they found that gingerbread man stuck to, I don't know, to a fridge or something with a knife, and one of those two guys said something like, what demented son of a bitch could have done this?
Dude, how funny would it have been if out from the Jack in the Box popped Jack from Jack in the Box and he just started wasting people with scalding hot fucking hamburgers, like just fucking rapid firing fucking hamburgers at them.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yes.
don't like,
Make that happen.
I don't like Jack in the Boxes. I don't like clowns, and I don't like baby dolls.
Oh, so this movie was chock full of stuff that would have been
so-
effective for you.
So Tammy, if you don't like dolls, does that mean you also dislike my doll of Total Evil?
No, not that. I don't like baby dolls. Like the
Ah, Oh,
I don't dislike it, but I would probably pick it up with a pair of tongs if I was at your house. You know what I'm saying?
sorry,
I don't know
sorry,
where that doll's been or what it's seen, bro.
No,
sorry,
when I was
with
a
a
kid, I
pair
had-
of what?
Tongs, you know, like you pick up hot dogs off the grill.
Ah,
Tongs.
did you say it about this doll?
Yeah.
No, I had when I was a kid. I had Barbie dolls and that. I don't like baby dolls. I don't. They're creepy, especially
Their
ones.
eyes rolling
China
around
doll.
in their head.
China dolls are creepy.
Yeah, especially the ones that open and close their eyes and
Hate it.
show.
I used to gouge
They're
them out of
looking
my
at
cousins when I was a
you.
little kid.
I
Which
don't
means
know,
we
I
should do
can,
Tommy knockers.
I can see why some of them might be creepy, but generally I'm okay with them.
And you know what? Doesn't help that I've watched all these kind of creepy movies. And I don't like clowns, and I've watched all these killer clown fucking movies. So of course that adds to why I don't like these things.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, if I was you, that would probably be what makes me like them.
I know. See,
So let's get
they're
into
just
the
fucking
plot
clowns.
here. It begins with, of course, the Christmas rush scene, where it's a slow motion. People are like rushing to get like merchandise off shelves and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
This
And
is
they-
a perfect scene of the mad rush of holiday, exactly what you hate about the Christmas season,
Which-
because
We don't get it like we used to. Remember when we were kids and people would like fuck each other up over a Tickle Me Elmo? We don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen the same way it used to. It used to be like Thunderdome at the fucking Kmart or something when you would go in there during Christmas. Now I think people
Elbow smash.
they kind of ruined it when they started shooting each other over PS4s. It took the spirit out of it. You know what I mean?
uh,
or like
Well-
that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie with the action figure.
Jingle all the way.
oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's a Christmas comedy I actually really like.
it's a classic, dude. Him and Sinbad going head to head for the fucking action figure. It's a classic. Turbo Man was the action figure.
Turbo Man, yeah.
Still want one.
I wouldn't mind one either, especially back in the day when I was collecting superhero figures. That would have been a cool addition to the collection.
You can get
My
them, dude. They sell 'em.
my grandson asked for a good boy.
Dude, I want like the jingle,
toy.
the Turbo Man right next to the Princess Unicorn from The Office. You know, her horn. Like,
Yeah, Child's Play was one of the main franchises that had to do with dolls.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, we get this mad rush of the Christmas holiday, and it's just fucking classic because people are mad rushing over people just to get the fucking merchandise, and that pretty much sets the movie. Kind of what we have in store here, and then of course we then meet. I believe it's the son of the family. Trying to remember what his name is here.
Max.
Max, yes. So
Yeah.
Max has an interesting relationship with his grandmother. But he also has the idea of Christmas still like fresh in his mind. He's still a kid. He still believes in Santa Claus. So he has actually written a letter to Santa Claus just to wishing that his family like would go back to like what they once were and helping his uncle out and things of that nature. But you know,
Yeah. In so many words, it's basically, I wish my family would stop being a bunch of assholes.
Right.
And
Enjoy
they
the
proved him
holidays.
wrong. In short order, they prove him wrong, that that's probably not going to happen. So he shreds up the Christmas letter and throws it out the window, and that's essentially what summons Krampus, if I remember right. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. And maybe the fact that he said he hated Christmas.
But but you also get introduced to the rest of the family. The grandmother, she is cooking the Christmas dinner or getting things prepared, but she is also starting to look like something is going on, like that she's not really sane.
Isn't it the mom from Hereditary? That lady that's like,
Yeah,
shut your
she's
mouth when you're talking to me, or whatever.
also the mom from the Sixth Sense. So,
Yeah, she is the mom from The Sixth Sense.
Oh, I did wonder where she looked familiar from.
She does a good job of playing those high-strung, neurotic mother characters that are kind of mean, but they don't mean to be.
Yep. And
Isn't her name Toni Collette?
Yep, her name is Toni Collette.
See, my brain stores things on occasion.
And Toni Collette, she plays the mother character here. She is in fact in the woman's home, in fact, which they are in, I believe. And
well, the dude from Parks and Rec also owns part of it.
Yeah,
it could be argued he probably owns it.
I believe he also played in like a ghost thing that we saw not too recently on TV.
He's also in that movie. I forget what it's called, but it's a spoof of The Omen.
Maybe Little Evil.
Yeah, that's the one. My kid was like obsessed with that movie for a bit. So.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, she still loves it, but she used to watch it like weekly for a long time.
I think I also saw him play a Dick Boss in the Secret of Walter, the remake
Mitty?
with.
Oh, is there a boss that's not a dick?
The Secret of Walter Mitty, with Ben Stiller. I think he played the Dick Boss in there too.
I think you're right. Yeah, he's definitely between that and Parks and Rec is very much associated with an office environment.
Yeah.
Kroll, don't fall asleep again.
No, let him do it. I want to hear what else he's going to say in his sleep.
Okay, good point.
I'm saying you're watching the whole time. Or if he fell asleep and just bonked into the fucking.
I hate JoJo. But Kroll, if you dyed your beard, I could come over and sit on your lap and I tell you what I want for Christmas.
I do that every night.
My girlfriend might object to
that. Me and Kroll have had a standing agreement. I'm allowed to do that for years.
I want a football. Anyway.
You trying to get on my naughty list?
I want this dog to come to life.
David's always on the naughty list.
The only thing I want for Christmas is that Boba Fett mouse pad. I'm pretty sure my kid ordered it for me too. I was mostly joking. I'm pretty sure I'm actually getting it. But yeah, we're introduced to the whole family, as Dave was saying. They're real assholes, especially the fucking one uncle's kids, the little tomboy girls. They are just wretched.
Yeah. The sister and the uncle show up, and they come with an unannounced guest with the Aunt Nora, because that was an unexpected guest. Wasn't invited, but she brought her anyways. Surprise!
Well, they showed up. They went there to drop off gifts, and she opened the door, and she was all packed and ready to go. It was like, this dude tell us that she just attended by herself. So,
which is a classic part of the holiday family dynamic. Is there? I mean, thankfully, well, not thankfully. I never wish death on anyone. Fortunately, I guess the version of that in our family passed away eventually once she finally released her clutches on this mortal coil and decided to stop tormenting everyone. But I think every family at one point has had that. Just
what about the fat kid that just stands there?
Which one?
Yeah, he's like asking him, "What'd you have sent for Christmas? Was it a remote control car?" He's just standing there looking at him like,
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
is that
what?
kid the same kid that he kills with the poison candy in Trick or Treat?
Mm,
I think
oh,
it is the
I don't
same
know
kid.
about that.
That's why I'm looking
Yeah,
at it.
Yeah,
think
I think
so.
he has the best scene in this movie though.
I think
Oh,
it
you're
is the
talking
same
about the
kid.
kid that like doesn't say say anything. He just speaks
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what the hell was the matter with
He
him?
reminded me of the actor in The Big Green. But I know
I could see that vaguely. Yes, the fact you're killing me, Smalls. That kid. He's also in the Sandlot. Yeah, I could
But I
see
know
that a
it's
little
not
bit.
him.
But I'm pretty sure he's that kid that gets killed in the first fucking segment of Trick or Treat, where he feeds them all the poison candy and then he's like puking up all that disgusting chocolate vomit all over the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same kid and it's the same director, so it would make sense. And this is only a couple of years later. So
Well, and the uncle and the aunt they bring along a dog named Rosie.
that
I do
chubby
have to
aunt
kind of
is
mention
so
that
hot
chubby.
in like a Midwest kind of way. Like I would
Uh,
shuck some corn with her for sure.
Oh, that dog was amazing.
You know what? Forget all that. I'll take the damn Hummer.
That was pretty cool too, and they had some dope guns.
I'll take a Hummer.
I'll take that Hummer. That thing was wicked.
Yeah, it was cool.
I think we're talking about two different things.
I know. I caught it, Carl.
But at the end of everything, we have the Christmas dinner, where we get the Eagle Scout fighting with the the Marine commander type conversation because he thought that the uncle always thought that he was a little sissy, the father. And they had that conversation. Of course, then the cousins whipped out the Christmas letter that they had stolen from Max and read it in front of the family, which made him run to his room. And we get the whole tearing apart the letter, which pretty much started the whole thing. And then
Sorry, Whoa, your mic is muted. We cannot hear you. I see Whoa is saying something, but we cannot hear him, so maybe he doesn't realize that his mic is muted.
Oh, no problem, man. I was talking to the grandma. She was updating me on some gifts that she got for the kids that we don't overlap.
Oh.
And that stuff,
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
No problem, buddy. I probably should have closed my camera too when I was doing it, just so it wasn't confusing. What did I miss? Did Kroll fall asleep and admit that Motley Crue is not a good band?
So we get the scene where he tears the letter up, and then I do believe there is a line that the grandma says, "Keep the fires hot."
Sun came out from a cloud. Do you guys see that? Fucking, it's super bright down. It burns me. Hold on.
And the daughter, the kid's sister, is concerned about her boyfriend, which apparently she hasn't been able to get a hold of him. So she asks if she can go out in this fucking blizzard. Bad parenting here.
Yeah. Well, the mother's like, no, and the father's like, oh, she should be okay.
I mean, to be fair, he lives like a block away, in their own neighborhood. Yeah, there's a blizzard, but the chances in normal circumstances of anything actually happening with that are pretty slim.
Well, like
the fact that they were concerned makes sense, but letting her go isn't too insane. She's just walking in the snow over to the next street.
Well, like I told David, she probably needed to get away from the father, especially, probably realized that she really needed to get away from that whole fiasco, and that's why he
the cousins and everything.
Oh yeah,
and she's kind of a shitty sister too to that kid, but she's at that age.
Because she wasn't standing up for him while they were reading the fucking letter. She allowed it to happen. So
indeed, and she was stopping him, and he tried to fight back.
Yeah, if that shit went on here when we were kids, I would have fucking been and sent up to the attic like Kevin McAllister for punching someone. You know, like it would have went down right there.
That annoyed me too. Like, what the fuck is wrong with fighting back when someone is being an asshole to you?
Well, we kind of skimmed past it, but that scene where he does rip up the letter and puts it out the window, and you see the pieces of it like floating up, it's pretty perfect. You know, it really does feel like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Mary Poppins moment almost.
Yeah, or like a reverse of the feather in Forrest Gump. You know, this one means bad things, whereas in Forrest Gump, that feather floating around tended to connect good elements of the story together. But
I think when it floated up and made it, the way it floated up made you think that something's coming.
Yeah, it was summoning something to right the wrongs.
Something wicked this way comes.
Well, and Dave touched on that. It's when Christmas spirit is gone, but I think in this movie they're meaning it more specifically that Krampus comes to punish people that kill the Christmas spirit in others. You know what I mean?
Which ultimately it has
lose it.
Well, you can't kill a spirit. If it's a spirit, it's already dead.
You know what I mean? Figuratively.
I know. I know. I'm just making a stupid joke. Sorry.
Right. Unfortunately, most of us have our Christmas spirit killed at one time or another, but it tends to be not quite as intentional as it is in this movie. Like his shitty family, you know, wrings the Christmas spirit out of him by that point. So Krampus comes to rightfully punish those fucking cocksuckers, you know.
Oh, it's not just them; it's all their fucking neighbors on the fucking street. I mean,
they probably suck too.
Because the sister, the daughter, she starts to go down the road, and she runs into the DHL driver that had just been there earlier, given packages, or. Because in fact, I do have to mention this moment. The uncle and the aunt answer the door for a DHL package driver, and they're like, God, they get all these packages. They must be Democrats. But
Wet Willie. Across the country.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, when Beth gets there, she finds the guy dead in the truck, but later on when they find the truck, the corpse is no longer there. How come that?
He was grinded into jelly to fucking grease the gears of the Christmas war machine, bro. What do you mean? They have to fucking
he got up and walked away.
Oil up that Jack in the Box, man.
No.
Oh yeah, we never saw what exactly was in that box either. We just
maybe he was clowning around.
You didn't see that little thing that was starting to come out of it before everything went nuts.
Yeah, she ended up seeing the shadowy figure jump from roof to roof, and you really heard it chasing her down the road.
If you've ever seen this with a good surround sound system or in like a solid set of headphones, oh man, it's like the thunder of him jumping between those houses it's intimidating, you know.
And for a chunky fellow, I mean, he can jump. I mean, my fucking lord, you know.
Yeah.
But she gets chased and she scrambles underneath the truck, and she tries to hold her mouth closed, but she begins to hear this music from the Jack in the Box, and poof, she's gone. But you're not entirely done with her, because she is evidently the voice that brings the cousins up stairs to the attic in a little bit. But before that even happens, it's been several hours. It starts to get dark, and the kid sister is worried that his sister is out after dark, And so the uncle and the father go out. And I guess this is where they find the dump truck.
Doesn't the snowman come before that bit though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think the
When
snowman
It's
is
like,
how they
oh, the
realize
snowman
something
outside,
weird is afoot,
like who
you know?
built it, and you can't figure out who built it and stuff.
when they see a snowman, yeah, and they don't know who built it.
And then I think they look back and there's a bunch of snowmen, and all of a sudden they're there, and they're like, "Oh fuck," you know. And I think later, once the window is broken, it turns out that that's how the evil elves were sneaking up to the house, was in the snowmen, which is just so fucking brilliant, like a Trojan horse Christmas style. Like it's just, I love it.
Right. So they go out, find this dump truck that's like in the middle of the road, no driver, keys are still in it. And they kind of glance that there are presents still in the car, and it glances up like above. You see the pictures of the driver's family, you know. So it's like, where the fuck did this guy go? And they're like, okay, now now the uncle pulls out a pump action shotgun and this gun that he said that he gives the father, and he's like, hey, it's heavy. Yeah, that's my wife's. You know.
Well, I think too the impetus to that is that when they see that the driver is like gone or whatever, and they're looking at it, they realize that the glass in the windshield is broken in the wrong direction. Like it's,
Yeah.
you know, at first they
Yep.
probably naturally assume he crashed or something and was ejected, but then they realized that it was broken in and he was pulled out. So that's pretty fucking creepy. A fun little subtle bit of sinisterness that they layer in there.
Yeah, and then they continue onwards to the boyfriend's house, which the boyfriend's house, it is dark. They go up to the door, open it. It's all dusty. It looks like you know, the day after in there, after like a serious like war zone, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff is like crashed all over the house, and it looks like in such disarray, like no one had been living there, like at least for a couple of months or whatnot, you know. And I guess the uncle says something that their pipes had burst.
I love it.
Okay.
My dreams are almost coming true. But yeah, pipes had burst. I mean, the house is all fucked up. I like your, you know, sort of comparing it to a bombed out house in a war zone or something. It does kind of have that vibe. Some proper post-apocalyptic shit going on there.
Yeah.
But like a Christmas Wonderland style, so it just makes it even more evil, I feel like.
Yeah.
So they notice the whole huff in the thing, and then they begin to trek their journey back. Actually, I think once they get outside, they start to hear the voice of the daughter, the sister, screaming for her dad. So I believe they both start running. The uncle gets like pulled down.
Yeah, we get that graboid sequence.
Yeah,
These guys were definitely a fan of Tremors. You could just tell.
It was like
they do it the same way.
It was like the trap spiders too.
Yeah, that's
Snow Tremors.
Good one. I actually liked Cold Day in Hell. It was one of the better Tremors sequels, I think. Yeah, man, I really like that whole sequence because, again, obvious, it's a blatant and obvious nod to Tremors, but then at the same time, it's like you always think about that stuff in snow. At least I do. Maybe I'm just a weird kid, but like I've always thought about that. Like, what if something was tunneling through there following me. I didn't even know it, So this movie plays on some fun snow-related fears, I guess, that dorks have. I don't know.
And he pulls him out of the snow finally, and actually he does actually let off a couple of shots.
Yeah.
Because you get that moment where he just pulls the gun and blam, blam, And
And then
I
you see
think
something tunnel away.
that makes the uncle have a little bit more respect for him too.
Yeah, yeah, that's when I started to like the uncle character.
But they limp back to the home, and
Because the beautiful Hummer is all destroyed.
yeah,
All spewed out.
that was that was something. That whole thing was like in fire.
Spewed out.
But they end up trying to not let the kids know what's going on, so they send them to the other room. And then they basically say, okay, this is what happened out there. Let's fucking board up the house,
Which is a smart move. They don't know what the fuck's out there, and at this point, we still haven't actually had it revealed. That girl got a glimpse of Krampus, but the whole sequence with the dads really reveals that, oh, we're not just dealing with Krampus here. There's other creatures afoot out in this fucking snowy wasteland, It's so scary, dude. I like the way that they build up that fear of like, what the fuck is going on and what is out there. And I think this is the point where they notice that it's snowing way harder than usual. And like, even in bad conditions, like this is a serious fucking blizzard that's coming down, the likes of which they're not used to, even living where they're living at. And I think, doesn't it start to get extra cold too?
Well, the power had gone out. That's why it's even colder.
Right.
Yeah, and the iPad is still going, and we get the whole "let's keep the fire hot" moment a little bit later. But the fire dies out, and the kid that says nothing gets up in the middle of the night and realizes that there's this fucking gingerbread man on a hook that has dropped down from the fireplace. So he goes over
fat ass right up the fucking chimney. I love it. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah,
I'm doing it, Boris. I'm doing it. I'm just hoping we get some contact with that camera. That's my dream. If that happens, this will become officially my favorite podcast I've ever done with Dave.
So this is where the whole entire family gets involved with trying to pull his ass back down the chimney. Well, that doesn't entirely happen the way that they want it, because Mom, Miss Toni Collette, sees the fucking gingerbread man come down and go, "Ha yeah."
Nice impersonation.
I love the gingerbread
the
man.
Jesus out of her. So
I mean, we got to admit, the gingerbread men is the most direct parallel to Gremlins in this. They even recreate the kitchen scene from Gremlins basically in this movie with the gingerbread men.
Yeah, that was probably the
you even
part.
get the noises of the Gremlins in here. What the fuck,
Yeah, they're pretty much the same.
Wasn't it about this time that Grandma goes and tells the whole story?
I think right around this point, yeah.
Yeah,
after the first kid's gone, and then they realize, like, oh, she wasn't just talking shit. We got to watch the fire. Like, that's the whole reason
part
it happened.
is animated. That segment is animated.
I fucking love it, dude. It is my favorite part of the whole movie, I think. It always almost chokes me up when she's telling that story about Krampus and how it took her family and left her the bell or whatever. It's just, and it adds such a cool storybook vibe to the movie with the fact that they did it animated. Like, it, that's what I'm saying. It's like the perfect Christmas horror movie. We even get a fireside fucking bedtime story basically in the middle of the movie.
It's so sad too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and the way they do it animated style and really push the whole like World War II era vibe of the thing just makes it feel even more bleak Like she probably had this happen after she lived where like she'd already been bombed out by the Germans or something, and then she has her family taken by this Christmas demon for being assholes. It sucks.
Which is why I
What a
think
life.
when we get the gingerbread scene in the kitchen, that's kind of like a wartime battle.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, so we do get kind of a gingerbread fight with the uncle where they pull out the staple gun and they start like shooting it at him. Meanwhile, I believe the cousins have gone up to the hearing the voice of the cousin, because there was a present that I believe the aunt was actually playing with at first, but then she set it down because she had to be told what the fuck they wanted to do. They wanted to go and grab the dump truck and get the fuck out of there and get some help and look for the daughter and said, well, the cousins went up and that's when the toys came out to play. What did y'all
there's
think
a
about
fucked up variety of toys, man. That angel is super fucking creepy. The Jack in the
Oh.
Box
Oh yeah, and the teddy bear too.
and the
like
robot?
Dave said, definite. It has to be a fucking direct nod to demonic toys because it's even the same toys for the most part. The only difference is instead of Baby Oopsie, we get the angel. But the other toys are exactly the same toys. I mean, if you could see the fucking poster right here, they're on it. I mean, it's
and the
in
Jack
basically that order. Yeah.
and the
It made
and
me
the
think
Jack
of
in the
teddy
Box.
bears. Made me think of teddy bears in a whole new light. That's for sure.
I guess the scariest toy I have is okay. Give me a moment. I'll show it.
Well, the Jack in the Box, his mouth is like the fucking Predator.
Yeah, love the split lower jaw or whatever. It just makes it so much more scary. It feels like there's a creature that's just masquerading as this Jack in the Box, as opposed to it being a killer toy.
Well, did
What
you
did
think
you-
the teddy bear was scary?
Oh yeah, teddy bear is one of the coolest ones in demonic toys as well. It has like this dope werewolf transformation and turns all big. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, they did a great job with the toys in this. They didn't hold back. They very easily could have made the toys look less gross and terrifying, just for the sake of like not messing with little kids as much. But where's the fun of that?
Boris, what does that turn into?
Well, it's
Nothing,
adorable.
but thanks. The scary thing about it is that it's a baby Baphomet.
I like his little nipples.
Yeah,
Nice
my
little nips
mother
on that
made
good boy.
it.
It's cute.
Thank you.
Your mother made it. I love that even more. Like she took the time to cut those nipples out.
But I
put them
guess
on there.
I guess the girl cousin is the one that survived from that toy fight, because we see the girl cousin.
Well, one of them got eaten.
Yeah, one of them got eaten, and then the other one was found, and they all went downstairs, and they attempted to run to the dump truck. You get the father staying behind, shooting the shit out of the ground. You get
Well, the grandmother stayed at the house too to fight him at the house.
the grandmother actually faced him. Faced the fucking Krampus as he came down the fucking chimney, and like it did a whole except he didn't come out of the wall saying, "Oh yeah," like the fucking
Cool,
Hawaiian punch looking dude, So.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite moments. The showdown with the grandma and the Krampus. It's a powerful bit of the movie right there. As far as little moments, that's right there with like him jumping across the houses for me. Just good
So
stuff.
basically, by the time they get to the dump truck, they're trying to get the cousin goes in the truck first, then the kid, the aunt and the mother are outside the
Yeah,
truck.
the aunt starts
Um,
getting sucked in, and the mother grabs the kid, the cousin, and then the mother just gets sucked down too, and he's screaming, and then she's like, "We gotta get out of here!" And he's trying to stop the truck, and the elves are
Oh,
coming up, and they
we
finally
do
start
have
it,
to
but it's
talk
too
about
late.
the moment that the elves came in through the bay window a little bit before that too, and they
So
took
Oh yeah,
the
fucking
baby,
rad.
that was creepy.
Oh,
The
oh,
took
grandma
the
was
yeah.
like,
baby, and
"Elves!"
they took the aunt with the shotgun.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was also surprised that the elves would be on Krampus' side. I thought they would
Well,
be.
they're not. Elb says that they're. You got to think of it more like
They're
just
They
more
a
like
took the baby.
race, you know.
They took the little baby too.
they're more like
Like there's other
changelings.
elves that exist other than just Santa's elves, right? Like those are just the
Yeah,
elves
they're
that work
Krampus
for
elves.
Yeah,
Santa, but
Krampus is
they're
an
their own
entirely different
independent
entity
race
than
of
Santa Claus.
creatures, you know.
He's
Oh,
like the
So
naughty version of Santa Claus.
yeah, it
Wait.
stands to reason there would be evil elves that wouldn't fit in Santa's workshop, and who else are
oh.
going to work for it? Might as well fuck with Krampus, you know.
I mean, think even Santa Claus has a naughty and nice list. What happens to the naughty kids? You know?
I like how
Get
the
cold.
elves did sort of
Ooh.
remind me a little bit of like the goblins from the Tolkien stuff in a way. Like just
Yeah.
snatching fools out of fucking random openings, you know. That's what you do sometimes when you're just a
That's
goblin.
why
You
I think
snatch a
they're more like
motherfucker and take all his
changelings.
shit. What's that?
That's why I think they're more like changelings.
Oh, changelings are rad, and actually there
Oh,
is a dope changeling segment in a movie that focuses very much on Krampus at one point, which is Christmas Horror Story.
yeah. I was just
Which
reminded of that too.
which is funny. Christmas horror story at Walmart. They sold it as holiday horror story because they didn't like Christ and Christmas. So
Ah,
That's ridiculous.
yes, it is.
It is.
that came out. That anthology came out like shortly after this movie came out, and I thought that was like stupid, but.
It doesn't matter anyways. They say the word Christmas, I feel like a dozen fucking times at least in the movie, because you have William Shatner doing the little wraparound thing where he's the DJ and he keeps talking about that it's Christmas.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, the people that fucking would complain about it being called a Christmas Horror Story wouldn't even watch it anyways, you know. So just changing it on
Right.
the cover for Walmart does make some sense, just to avoid pissing off like any fucking random Christian groups or people that are triggered by that kind of stuff.
It's funny. It's ironic actually that Christians get pissed at that kind of stuff, and most of them don't even know that, according to the Bible, you shouldn't even be celebrating Christmas to begin with, because it's not really Jesus' birthday. It's a holiday derived from some pagan tradition. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of technicalities with it. You'd think, though, just basic modern Christians would be hyped on him fighting a demon on the cover of the movie. So it's not even like making Christmas look bad at all. Santa's kicking demon ass on the cover of Christmas Horror Story. So I don't know. I mean, if I was like, even if I was a Christian, I'd think I'd be hyped on that. Like, yes, he's doing the godly work out there fighting those demons.
Well, I guess we get the deaths of the mother and the sister aunt lady, which then we get the elves that
Hold
end
on.
up.
This is just occurring to me right now as we're talking about it, because we mentioned the Tremors thing earlier, but isn't the whole gist of their escape plan to get in that big snowplow dump truck thing and then like follow behind that in a second car as well so that everybody can get out of there?
Something like that,
Yes.
but they didn't
That is
have.
directly ripped from Tremors, dude. At the end, where they take that bit, they pull that trailer with that big fucking bulldozer thing. Like that's the whole ending of Tremors. The same.
Well,
as that
unlike
as well.
Krampus, it didn't work.
it didn't work in Tremors either. Remember, the graboids
Oh.
got smart enough that they dug out a trench for it. So like part of the way through, they fucking fall down into the trench. Yeah, well, that's why I didn't really realize that has to be a nod to Tremors. It's the same plan with the same type of shit, you know. So that coupled with the obvious graboid scene earlier is like a pretty massive nod to Tremors in this movie. I like it.
So ultimately, after that, we get that scene. We get the whole elves attacking the dump truck, taking the cousin, and then you get the scene where the kid Max, he gets like left behind. You know, he's basically face to face with Krampus at one point in time.
He gets to have his little Disney Channel moment where he's like, "What are you waiting for? I'm right here." You know, like
He
I want to defeat you with the power of holiday
hands him
spirit.
he hands
He
him
hears
the
grandmother.
letter. He hands him the Santa letter and a little like ornament that says Krampus on it, and
The bell,
he was like, and then he realizes he's the cause of it because he wished all of them dead and stuff, and blah blah blah, and so he's like yelling at them, and he's like follows, and he's like, I take it all back, I take it back, you know,
I take my
I
wish
just want my
back.
family,
And he
I just want
throws.
my family back.
He
And
throws
they
the
still throw
ornament.
they tell him not to kill the cousin, take him instead, don't kill his cousin, and they throw her in anyways, and like, you're supposed to take me, and then they grab him, of course, and they let me down, and
This
you know.
like fiery pit opens up like in the middle of the fucking like it looks like you're having a whole like Krampus Sabbath here with all these
like hell just starts opening up, and
Oh yeah,
it becomes
that was
like
good.
a fucking thrash metal music video real quick, and it's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. I love it.
and he throws him into the fire, and then he wakes
Fuck
up
those kids.
he wakes up in bed.
He wakes up in bed, falls out of bed because he's like still falling, and you know, he's like, oh my god, like looking around like he's at home, and he goes downstairs and looking, everybody's there, and he's like,
There
you're
you
alive. There you are. We thought you're gonna sleep all day.
And so you
for
get the
you.
whole family like opening up presents, and then of course finally it gets to him, and he opens up his present, and it just so happens to be the Krampus ornament, and that's when
Yeah, the
everybody
bell.
takes like a look, and there's like a moment of silence, and then a pan
Yeah.
backwards, like everyone is fucking remembering what happened. They're like, oh
Yep.
shit, we're still
It's
here.
still there.
Yeah.
I
Then you
love
see that
I
they're in like
love-
a fucking snow globe, and
Yeah,
That
I
for-
love the
yeah.
ending of this so much.
When it
What's that,
panned
Tammy?
back, like that, and you realize they were in that globe, I was like, oh my god.
Actually, that's what I originally thought too, but not sure how many of you read the Wikipedia article about
I
this
don't need to.
movie.
I saw the movie, and if the wiki says anything
Whatever they
different,
did
they're
in the
wrong.
graphic novels or whatever after the fact to alter it is separate from what you're presented in the movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
What we saw in the
it's pretty
movie,
clear at the
they were
end
in
that they're
snow globe.
trapped in a snow globe of eternal Christmas. I mean, that's
Well,
Yep.
according to Wikipedia, it says that they are not quite trapped, but the snowball is a device the Krampus uses to watch over them, but not sure why exactly. Maybe to come
I
up
could see
with
yeah, how the
a
hell are they
interpreting
gonna
it
name.
that
get
way
out?
as well. Yeah, that's fair. I like to think of it as they're trapped in a snow globe of eternal Christmas because that's more fun. And it gives it that classic like anthology horror fucking, you know, Tales from the Crypt. They get their comeuppance either way, sort of bleak ending, which I just think fits this dude's style more. But I could see totally what you're saying. You could interpret it that way, and that's fun. That's really cool. Did you guys notice the other houses in the other snow globes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah,
I
there
didn't
was like thousands of them.
Actually,
well,
no,
dude,
I
and if
didn't
you pay
notice.
attention, what's one of the houses is like that. It's Nancy's house from Nightmare on Elm Street. One of the houses, I believe, is the
Oh
Kevin
no shit.
McAllister house from Home Alone. I think the Amityville house is in there. There's like
Oh
I
there's
didn't
wow!
Easter eggs
notice
for
the
other
into.
movies in
I
there.
didn't notice what the houses were, so but I didn't notice all the other houses.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
don't
know what
remember the
either, but I
full
just
list.
noticed there was other ones. Lots and
Yeah,
lots of
yeah.
houses.
I did see there were others, but I didn't notice any
Yeah,
specific
I didn't
one.
notice it on my first watch. But then there was like articles after the fact when it came out that were talking about it. And so I went and obviously read those and then looked and I was like, no, sure enough, yeah, there is totally those other houses in there.
And I am glad that you mentioned Trick or Treat before this episode because this is the same director as Trick or
Yeah.
Treat. And he also did Godzilla King of the Monsters after this.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the thing that's in the future is I guess he's working on a Trick or Treat
He's been
anthology
saying
sequel.
that since 2000 fucking 14.
I know.
So. Or actually, I think like 2009, actually, right after Trick or Treat came out. So.
IMDb says it's in development, but I guess we'll see.
I believe him. I believe it'll happen. I don't think he'd still be saying it after damn near 20 years. Well, no, that's not 20 years. It's more like 15 or something. But yeah, I don't think he would still be on about it. And the dude, if you look at, isn't his filmography pretty slim for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Like he's not the type of filmmaker that just does movies willy-nilly. When he does them for real. I mean, King of the Monsters was fucking rad.
Yes,
so
I like that one.
This guy doesn't just take on projects to make a living. I'm sure he makes a living with all sorts of other stuff, and then just the fucking whatever royalties he gets from his already awesome movies. I mean, if all your movies are kick-ass, they're going to continue to sell.
He did do the screenplay for X-Men 2, X-Men United.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
and he
that's one of the better X-Men movies.
He wrote the screenplay for Urban Legends Bloody Mary.
Ooh.
And I guess the story for X-Men Apocalypse was by him. So he does have some, shall I say, superhero background.
Oh yeah, you can see very plain on the page what's in this guy's DNA when you watch his movies. I mean, it's old comic books, especially horror comics, anthology stuff, obviously, and then other movies that we all love. I mean, as we've talked about going through this guy, definitely Home Alone and Gremlins are in the DNA of Krampus. A lot of Tremors, as we've realized.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of cool stuff in there. Demonic Toys is very clearly represented with the attic toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this dude clearly has good taste when it comes to movies, and he's not the type of guy to just make movies on a whim. So when he does them, you can trust that they're going to be good, at least by his standards. And so far, he hasn't let us down. So.
Oh yeah.
Trick or Treat 2 will happen. It's just easy to be jaded about it now. And I came late to the Trick or Treat fandom. I only ever saw that one for the first time like 2 years ago. I saw Krampus way before I saw Trick or Treat. But I can only imagine how frustrating it must be for all you guys that were like aware of Trick or Treat from the get-go. I was aware of it, but I hadn't seen it. But the longtime fans that have been hearing it for ages have to be just like, who cares anymore at this point? On a fun note, I was able to see Trick or Treat in the theater on its first ever real theater run, because it went straight to video back in the day when it came out. But this year they did a special thing for it where which makes me even more confident that part 2 is going to happen, where they put it through a theatrical run, and me and the kid were lucky enough to attend. And let me tell you, that movie is just as glorious on the big screen as it is, in person at home. So I was really hoping that they would follow it up with a screening of this film for the holidays. It just didn't happen, unfortunately. But if I can ever see Krampus on a big screen, it will complete, the duology
I
there
think
for me. And,
I think one of the
but
ones that we went to a screening of The Shining on the big screen. That was
fuck yeah.
cool.
Ooh.
It's worth doing. There's a lot of people that, sort of poo-poo those classic screenings, like, oh, I've seen that movie a million times. Why would I want to go pay movie theater prices to see it? But the thing is, they usually don't charge full price for those classic movies. It'll be like
No,
$5 or something. And then you can watch Conan the fucking Barbarian on the big screen. That was one of my favorite ones I've been to, and National Lampoon's Vacation. Those were huge for
well,
me.
we got invited to that screening, didn't we, David?
Nice.
For the
Yep,
night?
we got invited to it.
That's dope.
So, I guess we're here at production. So, Kroll, what did you think of production? Are you still with us?
It was
I
pretty
like the
good.
makeup on the Jar Jar mask. Oh, he's awake.
It was the production was pretty good. All the creepy toys coming to life, coming after them. Krampus and the elves. Yeah, everything was scary. The house, everything looked like a normal house and stuff, and in the store in the beginning and stuff. So yeah, I'd say the production was pretty well done. I
On the
don't really
bombed
have
out
any complaints
boyfriend
on it.
house looked real good too.
Yeah, I don't really have any problem with the production at all. It was done well.
The snow was handled well too. I mean, we have to obviously. I don't know if it was fake snow. I'm pretty sure most of it was, but it was
Yeah,
produced
it was done
snow.
well.
They didn't shoot this
It
movie
looked
in
like
the
real
middle of a
snow.
world record blizzard, so they had to make it snow with a combination of practical shit and probably some digital effects. But it looks real
Yeah,
good. So.
yeah, they made it look like it was a real blizzard out there.
Yeah,
Remind
I'm
me of
with you.
'78.
I can't say that this movie feels cheap or anything like that. The only thing that's a bit dated on it at this point is just the CGI for the gingerbread men, but it's supposed to be kind of funny anyways, so it doesn't matter that they don't
Yeah,
look,
they're fucking hilarious.
flawless. They look, but for its time, it was pretty decent CGI. I feel like on those
Yeah,
gingerbread men as well.
Yeah, I think
So.
I think
you're not
the
really
blizzard
looking
was
at
quite good.
how they're made. Just that they're alive and they're fucking trying to kill you. It's fucking hilarious.
Right.
The
What were you saying,
blizzard thing,
Tammy?
the blizzard thing looked really real to me. I mean, the last good
Not
one
the
we had
buttons,
here
not the
was
gumdrop buttons.
airport, and they actually shut the airport down. And I was leaving work, and after they shut the airport down, and it was blowing like everywhere. It was just when I finally got to leave, there, the whole everything was white, you know. And it was like I felt like I was like the only one on the road trying to get home, and I didn't have that far to go. But the whole road was white. Everything was white. It was just, and that's that. This reminded me of that because it really was,
Yeah. Blizzards are
Hey, Tammy,
terrifying.
do you
I think
remember the blizzard of
people.
'78?
What?
Do you remember the blizzard of '78?
Not really. I was 6.
I was 5. I remember getting rushed to the hospital by the National Guard.
Wow. Okay.
Too frail to survive
Who
the
happened to be
blizzard on
who
your own.
happened
No
to be
wonder
my
he's falling
father.
asleep during his.
He's still in his own snow globe.
Nice one
Blizzards
there.
are fucking scary, dude. I mean, I've been out in a blizzard
Can you
a
hear
couple of
this?
different
Let me
times.
turn it up.
I remember one of the good
Go.
ones. My car that I talk about, my 1972 Grand Prix. It was my mom's car, and she's the one that restored it. But before it was restored, I remember I missed the bus going to school, and it was just, and they hadn't canceled school, and she was so pissed at me for missing the bus, and we're going to school, and she spun out. It's the car's doing donuts, and I'm going wee, and she's just looking at me.
Yeah,
I thought it
schools
was scary,
don't like
man.
to cancel.
I drove most of the times I've been in a blizzard. I was a kid, so like my parents were dealing with it, and I was just like, cool, it's snowing, But I drove once like a 4-hour trip over a mountain in a blizzard at night, and it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done. I mean,
That sounds like it.
the closest I could
Yeah.
liken it to would be like probably how those dudes feel on like some small fishing boat in the middle of the Arctic or something, where you just can't see shit and you're kind of just hoping that you don't run into anything or fall off a cliff. Thankfully at about halfway through, I was able to link up with a truck driver, and then I just followed his taillights the rest of the way until it wasn't snowing. Thankfully I didn't overshoot my destination, because honestly I wouldn't have known. I could have drove several hours past it without even knowing, because you couldn't fucking see. I mean, there's visibility was like not even to my fucking the end of my bumper. Like I could barely see my hood ornament. That's how crazy it was, you know.
Yeah, I drove in a snowstorm that was like one category under a blizzard, delivering pizzas and shit, and I couldn't see fucking 2 feet in front of me. Somehow I managed to find the houses and delivered it, but
I think we were traveling with my dad in the blizzard that we were in, and we were going through Pikes Peak, and my dad kept getting turned around in the mountain area, and I know that we were like nearing the time that we were supposed to be at our hotel or whatnot, and we kept telling him to turn here, and he just couldn't see like 2 feet in front of him, you know. So, and there was deer darting out left and right. So,
yeah, it's a good thing he knew where he was going, man. That helps too. I mean, if I hadn't been over that same mountain pass like a million times, I wouldn't have attempted it. It would have been suicide, you know. But
yeah,
kind of knowing where I was going, I was basically navigating by the outline of road signs that I could see every so often. It's like, okay, we're at that part where it like curves and kind of comes around. And it was the worst, man. Not something I would ever repeat again, ever. And I did it as a favor for like some chick I wasn't even banging. It's just a terrible decision.
you weren't even banging her?
Oh,
What the hell?
I was trying to
I
help
just
her out, man.
remember the one that I was talking about. I go to leave work, and there was a shuttle that ran from the employees parking lot up to the airport, you know. And he took me to my truck, and he's
Were
like,
you banging him?
"What?"
Nothing.
And he goes, "I'll be back around in case you can't get it out of there." And that's when I had my O2 Blazer, and I'm like, "Don't worry about it." He comes back around. Just as he's coming back around, I hit, I had the truck, I had it warmed up, I had it in reverse, and he's just gonna come back around. I hit a whoop. I come right out of all the snow and everything, and he just looks at me, and I'm like, I wave it to him, "Hi." That my O2 Blazer, that sucker went through everything. It did not care. That was one
I
of the
like how
best
Carl
vehicles
did
I've
that.
ever had.
We got to appreciate how Kroll did that old motherfucker shit where he's like, "You remember the blizzard of '78?" Afterwards, once it thawed, I went out and I played with my hoop and my stick, or what. I don't know what fucking people did.
Oh, I don't pick on him. Him and I are basically the same age.
Man, I remember trying to go outside and not being able to because it was over my head.
that was when we went to school, uphill and downhill, and 6 feet of snow.
No, uphill both ways.
Right?
Well, I remember one of the major streets when I was in high
Barefoot.
school. They
And
were
we
going
liked
up
it.
down the street on snowmobiles. The regular
That was
street, they were
fun.
going up and down them on snowmobiles because
I lived in an apartment complex. I lost my kitty cat.
Aw.
That sucks.
Ran up an engine of a car to try to keep warm, and they never looked and started the car up, and yeah.
What's
Snowball.
crazy is that the cars don't have like a cold weather alarm for that, you know? Like you'd think there'd be like a little alarm in modern cars where once it hits a certain temperature, it'll
Well,
just
this was the
automatically make
78,
like a
so-
loud sound when you unlock the door or something, like a big beep or something under the hood, just to scare whatever is under there.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
bad
my
weather.
automatic door lock on mine on one side is broken, so every time I hit it, it goes like this loud gross noise. I really should get it fixed, but I'm kind of leaving it right now for the cats because every time I unlock the fucking car, it does that. So anything that's under there is going to be terrified.
I think mine makes noise when you unlock it with the remote.
Right, it might make like a little beep beep because that's what mine's supposed to do. It's not supposed to be some horrific gear grinding, but it gave me the idea of like, you know, this helps the cats, and why don't modern cars just have that where it's like a, you know, a little speaker under your hood that just wakes up whatever's in there.
I miss the alarms that sounded like a car horn, you know, like a boat horn or whatnot. And now they stick these dinky ass things that just go beep and like sound so fucking like small and insecure that nobody would fucking pay attention to it, even if you were like 2 inches from them.
Yeah,
well, that's because you have a Subaru. My alarm isn't dingy on my truck. You set that fucker off, and you know you set it off. But I got
my
an
van
avalanche.
has a normal.
She got a real vehicle.
Yeah, I have an avalanche, so.
Do you remember the Crocodile Dundee Subaru Outback commercials? Those were the best.
Yeah, he's got a Subaru.
Hey, a truck. This is a truck.
It really isn't. Sorry, Croc. Those Subarus are like all-terrain vehicles for soccer moms.
All I care about is it's got 4-wheel drive, and it gets me from A to B.
It's not 4-wheel drive. It's all-wheel drive.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
correct
All-wheel
him.
drive, whatever.
Correct him. I like
Still
it,
works.
Tony.
Well, my buddies,
I know it's usually my job, but
my buddy says Subarus are lesbian cars.
Why?
It's a joke that somebody started that he just continues
this is
it.
like Ford's are Ford stands for found on road dead.
Fucked over
rebuilt Dodge. First
Fix
on
and
race
repair
day.
daily. Yeah, there's all those
Found
Ford
on road
things.
dead, yes. Fix and repair daily.
I've only ever had the Crown Vics, but those have done me solid. I think there's just something about a Crown Vic, though. That might be why they used them as cop cars for so long.
Yeah.
So, what did you think about production, Tammy?
I thought it was good. I actually wish, though, you would have seen more of Krampus.
Yeah.
I can feel that on some level. I think not showing a ton of them also, though, did add like a really
Maybe in
creepy
some of the other
mystique to
movies.
it. And we don't even really know what he looks like under there. Like that creepy face he had that looked like some fucked up version of Santa Claus could be just like a flesh mask that it's wearing. You know, we
feels
don't
like it
know
is,
what's
too.
underneath that robe. Like it
It's
creeps
the
me
souls
out
of all
the way
the
that
all
they
the
depict
people we
him in
took.
this. If anything, I think the other Krampus movies showed too much Krampus. It makes them seem less like there's less mystery to it. Like this one, you could believe there's any type of horrible things underneath that fucking robe that he wears, you know.
I guess. I'm the type of person, I guess, if there's a monster in the movie, I want to see the monster.
She wants to be visually gratified.
Yeah, I want to see the monster.
Right. And I can see where you're coming from. I think that if they didn't show us so many other creatures in this movie, that would bother me more. Like, why don't we see more of the Krampus, you know?
Don't you see enough of Dave?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I wake up with the monster every day.
A furry little bastard.
Little,
Ow.
Ow!
little is not a word that's a wait. Yeah.
Come on, Krampus, send some cloud
Was it a
cover
full
here.
moon
This
last
is
night?
burning me out.
That's no moon.
So, what did you think about the production, Boris?
Oh, I think it was very good. Although you guys have already pretty much pointed everything out, but yeah, these monsters, the toys and the elves and Krampus himself, of course, and the animated gingerbread man, that was good. And the animated sequence when the grandma was telling the story. That was good too. At the end, when we saw Krampus's workshop and all that, that was really good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I don't have anything negative to say about the production. I think it was really good.
Okay. What about you, Mo?
I mean, I kind of touched on it as Kroll was going through his as well. I think it's all pretty great, you know.
Okay.
I think that might be the shining, like that might be the chief thing to pay attention to with this movie is just the rad production design and how they really created the environments that felt convincing and the sets were used effectively. I think when Krampus comes down and it shows like the chimney breaking, I feel like that was done practically with the set, you know, so it's like one part effect, one part rad production design that they built this chimney that they could sort of make look like it was squeezing out from the inside. Yeah,
Or like
top fucking notch, dude.
when he was jumping the rooftops, and it was
Oh
like,
yeah.
wah, wah,
Yeah.
boom.
I thought that part was cool. I also like the you know, the part where you see all the like the bottom of his feet while he's like tromping along around the vehicle, and
Yeah.
um, I do like the animation effects of the gingerbread men. I did like you know, the whole uncle in the kitchen with the thing, and I think we forgot to mention that the dog actually ate one of the gingerbread men.
Oh,
Yeah.
Save his that
Yeah,
was
that
Yeah,
was
pretty.
that's an entry
I was
there.
gonna mention that in one of my favorite scenes. So
I almost
definitely.
forgot about that one.
I did not.
Yeah, production and effects is certainly not an area where you could have too many complaints with this movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't think
Very
there's
well.
anything negative that I could say about this movie either.
I think it was done good. It was not overly done like some movies. I think they did just the right amount of
Yeah,
uniqueness
just
and
enough.
everything. You know.
Made
mhm.
it more believable.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that obviously carried over from Trick or Treat because that movie's very much the same deal. Like there's a good mix of practical effects heavy shit with like a little bit of CGI here and there where it's actually necessary. This guy was really good about not overloading the movie with fake effects and using the snow to mask some of it. Like the reason him jumping between the buildings looks so good is because the snow, you know, it can mask the fact that it's CGI animated. They didn't have a big bastard in a Krampus suit leaping between buildings, you know, but it's
You
done in
sure?
that way where it's like layered. They might have. It's done in that way where it's like layered, so it looks real. You know, so
Right.
Yeah.
and the only reason that didn't work with the gingerbread man as well is because they're just in a kitchen. There's no snow in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, so you can very much tell that they're CGI. But like I said, you know, even though it hasn't aged as good as the rest of the movie, the animation is still really fluid in that point too. So like I said, for the time, it's a pretty top notch CGI on those little gingerbread men. I'd
Okay.
compare it to the CGI on the little marshmallow dudes in the new Ghostbusters.
Sorry, what
Right.
do you mean by for the time? Krampus is from 2015, I think.
Do you realize how fast that stuff advances, though, bro? I mean, look at those effects, and then compare them to something like the Marshmallow Men and Ghostbusters, and it's way more fluid and real looking. You know,
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's came a long way, but it's still reminiscent of it, which shows how good it was in 2015.
Don't
in this
forget
Yeah.
the what was that the trying to think of the movie. It was I know that Johnny Depp played a part in this movie. It was from um it was the name of it. Oh God! It was the third part in the trilogy that the Mallrats do. Um,
Fuck.
Oh,
Oh,
Can't think of it.
Tusk.
Yeah, not Tusk, but that hockey hockey had
Yoga
something to do with
hosers.
hockey. Huh?
Yoga hosers.
Yeah, Yoga Hosers.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. I was trying to think of it. It was on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, there were all these like little like miniature dudes that came
Right.
from.
Yeah, that is a weird title. So yeah, I'm surprised I even remembered it. To be honest, it's not my favorite movie from that dude, but worth seeing.
No, it was not my favorite movie, but but the scenes of the miniature dudes, it was just memorable.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, and the way they interacted with the guy shooting him with the nail gun and the whole battle was just badass. And then obviously they made a practical one for that kid to take a bite out of.
Favorite
so that was pretty cool.
Scenes.
Yeah.
Let's go with you, Grow.
Well, my favorite scene is the fat kid looking down and he wakes up and sees the little gingerbread man, shaking around over there. And he's like, "Ooh, I want to get the gingerbread man." No, don't pay attention to the chain or the giant hook or anything. Just pay attention to the gingerbread man on it. He goes over and he grabs it and he just takes a big bite, and all of a sudden the thing wakes up and he's like, ah, and then it just starts laughing and chains them all up and then pulls on the chain and Krampus just starts pulling them up to the chimney and shit. That whole scene is just absolutely great. I mean, just showing you the gluttony of this kid.
Well, yeah, what
that
would
he
make
has
you go
to.
up and bite the damn thing?
It's got a real gluttonous Willy Wonka vibe to it.
Yeah, he's got to
thing.
eat this gingerbread man, and so he takes a bite, and yeah. And then of course the second scene is in the kitchen, and the uncle thinks he's gonna get it, and he's closing his eyes, and the thing's running at him. He's out of bullets and everything,
Yeah.
and the gingerbread man's about to get him. Also, he looks over, and the dog's like, his dog ate the fucking gingerbread man in mid flight. So I thought that was fucking hilarious.
That was good, yes.
So
Good dog.
yeah. So those are my two favorite scenes in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
those are
righty.
good ones.
Heading over to you, Boris. Any favorite scenes or favorite characters?
My favorite character, that's difficult to choose because although at the beginning I only liked Max and his father, but later on many other characters became good as well, except for the cousins.
Max and the father were the best.
Sorry, what?
I'd say Max and his father were the best.
Yeah, I do see why. But later on, I also grew kind of fond of Aunt Dorothy when she started to shoot. And the uncle became good as well. Okay, the younger aunt, the mother sister, she was okay throughout the whole story. The grandma was good, but fuck the cousins. I couldn't give a shit about any of them.
Yeah, they suck.
But yeah, if I have to choose one, I guess I would probably go with Max. After all, I like how smart he was for his age and how he was thinking with his own head without letting himself get brainwashed by what others are saying. And I also liked his somewhat philosophical discussions with his father. They had a nice interaction there. But my favorite scenes, it would definitely have to be some of the spoodaus with the monsters.
Yeah.
As Crow has already said, when the fat cousin bit into the gingerbread man and it came to life, and also when the dog ate a gingerbread man. And what else was there? Oh yeah, the aunt Dorothy shooting. I already said that. And the fight in the attic was cool with all those toys attacking.
It's
Yeah, when you
mayhem.
see the fucking feet go down the Jack in the Box, that is fucking priceless.
Oh yeah, that too.
But heading over to you, Mo, what were some of your favorite scenes?
Well, we've touched on some good stuff already. All shit that I love. I mean, I don't know that I have a scene in Krampus as far as like the big action stuff that isn't a favorite. The movie's full of favorite scenes. Obviously, as I said earlier, my all-time favorite bit in the movie is the Krampus story from the grandma with the animated sequence and stuff. There's just something about it. Like it puts a lump in my throat every time I watch the movie. And I've seen the movie many, many times, so it's still obviously effective after all these years. So that would be my main one. I think the secondary one to that would definitely be the absolute mayhem of their encounter with the toys in the attic. I think it's so much of what I love about these kind of movies is right there in that scene, up to and including people getting swallowed by fucking Jack in the Boxes. It's just
It
so
was
good, dude.
it was a lot of spoodaus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
What
then
about-
third to that, like rounding out my top three, would be the final scene where it reveals that they're in the snow globe and stuff. It's just such a cool ending, and still gets me hyped every time that I see it. And hopefully we'll get you guys more hyped now that you can look at the other snow globes and spot famous movie houses, because they are in there.
Yeah, I mean,
were you
at
gonna
first
say,
it makes it feel like it was some kind of nightmare or dream or something, and that they're all right, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, there's something wrong, and then
Actually, actually, I did have a feeling something might be wrong because there were those lighting effects throughout that entire scene that kind of make it look like a dream or a flashback or something like that.
Yeah. That's a keen observation there, Boris. That's how you know Boris has watched a lot of movies. But yeah, there is that little trick of the way that it looks to make you know that, like, this is a little too Hallmark Christmas card right now. There has to be something amiss.
Yeah, no, whenever you take a look at some snow globe on your shelf, you can wonder what if there is a family trapped inside.
I love it. It's like some Black Mirror fucked up, like Tales from the Crypt bleak ending where they still get their comeuppance. Because if we're being honest, at the end of the day, they still didn't come together. And the only reason they came together at all is because they were all in fear for their lives. They were still shitty people, most of them. And even that little kid was kind of selfish in his own way, of just wanting it to be this ideal Christmas thing, you know. And it's like, you're a little old to fucking not, you know, be thinking that it's going to be quite that Hallmark, buddy. I mean, this is real life, you know. So they all kind of made their mistakes, you know. He also did allow himself to give up on Christmas and the whole spirit of it just because a couple of his cousins are brats. I mean, come on, kid. You know, so they all kind of deserved to be in the snow globe in a way at the end. And like I said, I'm just a fan of bleak endings. I love when no one wins. It's my favorite thing. If they had made it like just a Groundhog Day, like, look, check it out, he sacrificed himself, and so now everything's okay, it would have been like that fucking scene from Community with the Asian teacher where he's like, ha, gay, you know, like that would have been my whole reaction to it.
Yeah, although I wouldn't go as far as to say that Max was selfish, because in his letter for Santa, if I remember correctly, he didn't even ask for anything for himself. He was just asking for things to make.
Then he fucked everything up by tearing the fucking letter up to begin with.
He folded like a fucking lawn chair, bro. And just gave up on Christmas like a bitch. So you get to live in the snow globe with everyone else and get whipped with birch sticks every Christmas by Krampus. That's what I like to think of the ending. Like he just pops in that snow globe every now and again, just fucking whips him with those birch sticks. Like, that's what you get, you know, and just fucking leaves him trapped in there for all eternity.
I don't know. Maybe some others did deserve that, if that's what happened at the end. But I wouldn't say Max deserved that.
Unfortunately, too little, too late. too little, too late.
Jokes aside, though, it's like it's just a fun bleak ending. Maybe Max didn't deserve it, and some of the other people had redeemed themselves slightly beforehand. But Krampus didn't seem like a very sympathetic Christmas deity, if you know what I mean. So the idea that he just trapped them all in a snow globe, anyways, is one of my favorite elements of the movie. There's no heartwarming ending because the kid, embraces the Christmas spirit and uses it to defeat the evil. We kind of get that for a minute, but then it's like actually fuck this whole family,
The way I interpreted it, like I said, at first I did also think they were trapped in the snow globe, but when I read on Wikipedia about the graphic novel, which I think the graphic novel was also made by the director of this movie, if I'm not wrong.
It might be, but that again, that's like a later alteration. If we're looking at the movie as a standalone piece of art in its own canon in itself, without any outside influence, you're just kind of left to assume that they're in this weird dream world where they're living this fake Christmas inside of a snow globe. If he changed it later, that's fine, and I'm sure that's interesting. But looking at this as just its own standalone piece of thing that it was, at the time, I think, I don't know. Without knowing what he's talking about, wouldn't all of you guys assume they were trapped in the snow globe at the end?
Yep.
Because they wake up in this, like he said, the lighting and everything makes it this clearly manufactured dream state version of Christmas. And then it zooms out and shows him in a snow globe. Like he obviously built on the idea later, as you're describing, with making it like a, sort of like a palantir that fucking Krampus can look into and keep track of these families that are like on a shit list or whatever, which is still really cool.
It kind of reminds me of the Blackbeard from Disney. Pirates, where he had all the ships and the fucking
the
bottles and shit, just to look at from time to time.
And that gives it, like I think Tammy mentioned, that old sort of Twilight Zone vibe where it's like, oh shit, now they're trapped in the dollhouse. I like that. So, I don't think there's a wrong way either way to interpret that ending. You can take it as what it was presented as initially, or you could take what Boris is saying with the idea of it being like this, sort of these viewing orbs that Krampus uses to look into their lives and potentially come back and fuck them up again if they step out of line. Either way, it's pretty fucking awesome and pretty bleak, I like it.
Yeah.
Favorite character, the dog, I guess.
Oh, nice one.
Tammy, your favorite scene
and the grandma,
or favorite character?
My favorite scenes is I do like him jumping from the rooftops. I think that looks so cool. My other favorite one is I do like the story, the animation story. I think that does add a neat touch to the whole movie. Favorite character? Well, I go from one extreme to the other. The grandma and Krampus.
Oh, yeah.
So those are
I would have to say that my favorite characters would probably be either the grandma or Krampus as well. I had a dislike of the father in the fact that he continued to take phone calls from his business while this whole family thing was going on.
Someone's got to pay for him to live in that fucking Kevin McAllister house.
I know, but still, he promised that he would be there as like a father or whatnot, and he.
Well, what about when you're on your phone constantly and you should be doing things?
Oh, damn, Dave! You just got what about it?
That's different. I'm talking to directors and shit like that.
Let this play out. I like this.
I'm always constantly answering texts from people. So But
Yeah, we should be doing other things.
Well, it's easy to say that, but if you had a boss who expects you to be available, would you actually be able to say no to your boss
I could
without?
answer that with this. I don't answer my phone. When work calls, I just don't answer the phone. I talk to him about it when I go in the next day, and it's like, I'm sorry, man, I was busy. But I also don't make enough money to feel obligated to answer the phone to those people. So maybe if I was some highfalutin dude with like, he probably has like a heated driveway and maybe a hot tub and a company gas card, then maybe I would answer the phone, you know. So this guy's kind of the classic rich white bread dad that fucking, you know, has to answer the phone to his boss so that he can keep Toni Collette in her fancy things and not have her having some neurotic meltdown outside of Christmas, you know. Because if you look at her character in most of the movies that she's in, she kind of has that vibe of like the handful of a housewife, you know what I mean? And then obviously he's got kids. I mean, a teenage daughter and a preteen son. I mean, he's got reasons to answer the phone, I suppose.
I couldn't really like the sister because she didn't even stand up for the brother. She cared about
Yeah.
her freaking boyfriend.
Like
Yeah,
I said,
that
man,
is
she's hot in that very Midwestern kind of way where I want to like drink some Coors Light and shuck some corn with her. I could see that lady taking me home after a cold night at a bar during the Christmas season. Probably wouldn't take her home, but her house would probably be nicer than mine, anyways. Yeah, she's cute, man. I don't know. Every time I watch this movie, I'm like, there's something. I don't know why I find that fucking sister so cute.
But yeah, favorite scenes definitely the gingerbreads. Anything with the gingerbread stuff. That I mean, when the gingerbread bread thing comes alive in the fucking fat kid's hand, I'm like, yes.
He takes a bite out of it. It's great.
And when he gets dragged up the fucking fireplace, I'm like, finally something happens to someone that deserves it. Because he was silent, but yet he was in on the joking with the cousins, you know.
Plus, he's just kind of a greedy little pig, you know what I mean? Like, you always want to see those kids fall down the stairs or something. I mean, I think everyone's known a kid like that. Like, I just hope he trips and falls.
The attic fight was great. The jumping over the rooftops was great. The chunkster Krampus down the fireplace to face the grandma was great. Yeah. And honestly, there's a lot of favorite moments. So it's hard to pick just
It really is.
One. But I do enjoy the fact that, you know, the whole entire thing is that they're stuck inside the snow globe in the very end, which I don't want to spoil too much. But one of the short films that's in the anthology that I'm putting together coming out has that same fucking ending.
Nice.
Ooh, interesting.
So. And it was filmed in 2015. So
they used the same ending in an episode of Black Mirror, actually, which I think was their first Christmas episode on that show. I don't know if they did other ones, but I would assume they did, because most shows like that do a yearly Christmas episode. But in the Black Mirror one, it's like these guys are at this Arctic base or whatever, having this conversation, and both of them have like some dark secret in their lives. I think the one dude's like responsible for stalking and murdering this girl or whatever, and the other dude's responsible for some other fucked up shit. But neither of them know it, and you don't know it either at the beginning of the episode because they seem like such normal dudes, and then they kind of are just having like this lonely Christmas dinner at this outpost in the Arctic, and then you know, spoiler, at the end they're stuck in a snow globe. So I love it. It's just so terrifying to imagine being stuck in like this manufactured little reality inside of some trinket like that, you know?
Yeah. But in any case, I think that's pretty much it for Krampus. So hopefully you out there who have been listening, like, share, and subscribe, and let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
Indeed,
And
man. Right away.
we'll definitely be back. Are we doing it? No.
I think you said we are skipping on next Sunday because it's Christmas.
Yep.
We
So we'll be back after the Christmas holidays.
we don't want to kill the Christmas spirit, huh?
No, we definitely do not want to kill the Christmas spirit.
I don't know.
Otherwise,
I think I could watch Dave get sucked up a chimney this year.
Tammy would be like, "Yes, party time!" But anyways,
if you guys want
let
some more Christmas fucking cheer, tomorrow night we're doing Black Christmas on Inside Movies Galore, I believe.
Yes,
So
yes, we
Yep,
are.
that
hopefully
was
I'll
my
be able
pick.
to be there. Thank you for picking it. I really hope I'm able to make it with my holiday work schedule, with the mail and Mondays being kind of hectic. It's been a little hard for me to get in there now that we've switched days. That'll obviously be easier after the holidays, but I'm really hoping I can make Black Christmas, because it's not only one of my favorite Christmas horror films, but one of my favorite slasher movies of all time. It's in my top 5 non-franchise slasher films. So really hoping to get in there. Plus, I love me some Olivia Hussey.
So join us on Inside Movies Galore tomorrow night with that, because I'm definitely looking forward to hearing some of the members that weren't there on the original podcast episode that we did.
I don't think I was. I think that was before I was with you guys.
Yeah. So
Yes, before I was with you guys.
it's definitely interesting to go back and like revisit something.
If you want another little dose of holiday cheer, we also did a Axmas double feature on Schlockaholics just yesterday. John Ward was in there answering some questions. It was he wasn't in the call, but he was in the chat answering some questions and putting his input on the reviews. So.
I have seen.
I got a kick out of you putting all that Sabotage stuff up.
Oh yeah, I've been listening to Dead Winter Dead like every other day.
The first time I saw them was when the Hall of the Mountain King album came out.
Fucking A, dude! I'm so jealous of that.
It was an awesome concert. It was Dio, Megadeth, and Sabotage for the concert.
That's amazing. That's such a good lineup, especially for that era.
It was Dio's Dream Evil, Megadeth, So Far, So Good, So What.
Yep. And then Hall of the Mountain King. Fucking dude, that's fucking epic. That is such a heavy hitting fucking lineup of bands, let alone the albums that they were touring for at the time.
I think I was like 16 at the time for that one.
See, you're a rarity because most people don't know about Sabotage. It's just a band that for some reason flew under most people's radar, which is insane. Not only did they influence power metal hugely, but they also went on to become Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which, obviously is its own fucking mammoth beast.
Yeah, we've seen Trans-Siberian Orchestra twice.
Well, I remember when the Sarajevo song came out, I had a friend, we had a record store here called Mainstream, and I had a couple people that I knew who worked there. And when that Sarajevo thing came out, they knew I got into Sabotage. And they got a hold of me, and I because I was hearing it on the radio, and they wouldn't hold the CD for me that had that on there.
Dead Winter Dead. Yeah, I've been listening to that album like every other day all month long. It's so good. Well, so there's another holiday recommendation for you folks: is Sabotage's Dead Winter Dead, which is a concept album telling the story of a young boy, a young girl, and an old man during the Bosnian War that was taking place at the time in the 90s. And it's about, the boy joins one side of the war, the girl joins the other side. The old man's kind of observing it as it's going on. And then, horrific fucking things happen. And then by the end, the girl and the boy come together forget about the war and try to get away from the whole thing. And it's very relevant considering what's going on with all those poor Ukrainians and Russians stuck over in those trenches right now. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
a good album to listen to, given the
I
current
like I
season
said,
and the
I
times.
remember my buddy called me and he said, I have it. I'm holding one because everybody's coming in for it,
Fuck
and
yeah.
he held one for me.
What's your favorite Sabotage album? We can close on that note because I do want to know.
Oh boy.
It's hard to choose.
Yeah, I don't have that one, that Magellan one that you put up. I don't have that one.
Wake of Magellan's pretty good.
I was
Not as
listening
good
to
as the other ones, but
I was listening to some of the songs off of it when you put it up there. So
it's good stuff. I like
I
it.
guess my favorite one would have to be Hall of the Mountain King, just because that was the first concert. It just
Right. And
that
that's a fair
started it out.
choice. If you had to choose outside of that, what would be like your second or your other favorite, Because Hall of the Mountain King would probably get my nostalgia vote as well. I think that was the first album I heard of them. Or Sirens. I know I got Hall of the Mountain King and then I got Sirens and the Dungeons Are Calling right afterwards, which is sort of one giant album. Sirens.
God, I can't remember the name of the album it's on. It's got the song Sleep.
Oh, fuck. Is that not on Gutter Ballet?
I don't. All I know is when David and I went to see TSO the first time, and then after they do their Christmas, they went into doing Sabotage songs, right?
That's fucking awesome. I didn't know
And
they
they-
actually did that.
Yes, and they started playing that, and I looked at him and I went, "Oh my God, they're playing Sabotage!"
Oh, duh. Fucking Sleep is on Edge of Thorns.
Yeah.
The first Zach Stevens album after John Oliva stopped doing the lyrics or the vocals in the main slot. But
But I don't
underrated
think he meant-
album.
I don't think he knew what I meant at first when I said that, because he knew the Sabotage had to do with TSO. But
Oh shit, might have to mute him. This fucking yeah, I didn't realize that for the first several years of TSO being around, which Trans-Siberian Orchestra, for those of you guys that might not know, is an epic heavy metal rock orchestra that does Christmas music. It was a huge phenomenon for a minute when it came out, probably like the first 5 years of it. It was, I know for a couple of years, they got the largest, like most attended live shows of the year was TSO.
well, they sell out here all the time.
Yeah, I think they still sell out here as well. It's one of those things when they do come through, if you don't get tickets basically right away, you're fucked.
Yeah, I was trying to win tickets again this year, didn't win any, but I was gonna say the first time we went, they had this thing where it had 3 discs, 3 music discs, and a book, and then it had the DVD. It was the whole Christmas thing.
Oh, dope.
And when you bought it there, I forgot how much it was.
I believe it was $30.
And we got to stay around after the concert, and I got them all to sign it.
Dope. Was John there?
I think so. And we came home, and I looked at that book online, and it was like $20 more online for that thing that I bought. Normally at the concerts they jack it
Yeah,
up,
and I think the next time we were at Trans-Siberian Orchestra, it had gone up $20 too, or at least
That's just the
$10.
inflation of concert prices, man. I remember when you went to like Ozfest when a shirt was still $25. Now it's like 45 or 50 when you go to a live show like that. Apparently, I don't go to those kind of shows anymore.
But that was
big ones
good.
like that, anyways. But
I was so glad I picked it up that first year though, because it was not inflated like normally, because like I said, I came home, looked it up online, and it was more online than what I paid for it. And here I got them all to
right,
sign
was a
and
time if
everything.
you went in person, you could get a little bit of a discount too at concerts. Nowadays, they don't do that shit. It feels
No,
like.
they don't.
They just are. Everything is price gouged. But I was honestly surprised when you were liking the Sabotage posts because usually no one likes my Sabotage posts other than the couple of friends I know that know the band. So
No, I love
you
that
doing
band.
it,
They're
was a
affiliate,
surprise. I thought maybe you were just doing it to be nice at first, but to hear that you actually are into the band is sick.
No, she's an avid fan of them.
Yeah, so we are definitely going to be talking more about Sabotage off the air right now, but definitely check out that band, specifically Dead Winter Dead, the song Christmas Eve over Sarajevo or whatever, which really was the origin of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, because they later re-recorded that as TSO, I believe. So yeah, get out there, dive into that rabbit hole, and Merry Christmas to you, because you're going to have a good fucking time doing it.
Yep. So everyone keep the Christmas spirit, or Krampus will come and get you. So everyone
Whip that ass with those birch sticks. Like and subscribe, motherfuckers.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Or
How do you say it?